Mike, when I write this, I have a candidate accepting a job. They signed the paperwork, but they're not going to start till after the new year based on a bonus they're due. How do I make sure they show up? There's nothing you can do to make sure they show up. There's things you can do to increase the likelihood. I hated these. 8 weeks, like sometimes in Europe, based on contracts, there's 4 8 week, sometimes even 3 month lags. Anyway, it's a great question. There are things you can do. And this one, I don't think I invented this one, but from my own experience, I remember, and it wasn't a delayed start, but like I had taken an offer to leave a company, my first job out of college, and I really liked the founder. He was very good to me. And, but it wasn't the role I wanted to play, is probably the best way to put it. I didn't leave for the same role. I left for a different role with much more upside, which got me into sales. When I resigned, he was like, he was shocked. And it was almost like a nephew telling him he was leaving the family. I just remember emotionally sitting there doubting my decision. And it was a relatively small company, probably 30 or 40 employees. And you knew everybody and walking around, they're like, oh, we're going to miss you. We're going to miss you. We're going to miss you. And you're like, did I do the right thing? Did I do the right thing? Did I do the right thing? And this happened to happen the day I resigned. My new boss at Motorola was away when I signed the offer letter. Her boss's boss had given it to me. And I was really feeling guilty. And I was really feeling like I'm just going to call. I didn't know anything about counteroffers or anything. But she called me up and she said, oh, Joe told me you signed the offer letter and that you're starting in 3 weeks. And I just booked I lived in Rhode Island at the time. I just booked your trip to Schaumburg, Illinois, to our corporate headquarters. You're going to go through 2 weeks of training. I'm going through the files. Before you go through the training, I'm going to drive you around. I'm going to introduce you to some of the accounts. And there was this very specific agenda of all these things that sounded fun and challenging. And that took me across the bridge. She actually threw the phone. I just remember when I got off that call, I was reignited about the opportunity. So how does that relate to a long term, like a 2 or 3 month delayed start? That's what you need the hiring manager to do every week is, in whatever role they're in, have the hiring manager call, get their opinion on projects they'll be working on, get their insights, talk about where they're taking the company, the vision for the role, the exciting things coming up in the new year that they're going to be involved in. Hey, keep using Mary as the candidate. Mary, you're starting after New Year's, and this is what we're going to have going on in the department, or this is what we're going to have going on in the division. We're setting this up for you. Do you have any opinions? And just every week, a quick 5 or 10 minute check-in so that they bond with the new employer. And you have to, it's not you as the recruiter they're going to bond to because they're not going to work for you. I'm not saying you shouldn't talk to them. I'm saying the emotional impact is going to come from the hiring manager. So you need to tell the hiring manager, make hiring manager Bob, here's my recommendation. Because the last thing you don't want to get a call over Christmas break, having lost 2 months already, from Mary telling her she's had second thoughts and she's going to stay at her company. Because you've got 2 months of guilt and shame that she's going to have to walk through. And depending on the company, she's probably not given notice because of her bonus, but she's going to re-engage with her job. And remember, one of the number one things people fear is change. And she's going to get re-comfortable and slowly, almost if you imagine like a loaf of bread on a shelf, is she's going to get a little more stale every day. And that call every week freshens it up. That call every week freshens it up. Okay. So sell that to the hiring manager and just talk to him or her about the consequences of having to start the search all over in January. And then what's that? You start at the beginning of January, make an offer by the end of January. You give notice. This is like best case scenario. They're on board the second or third week of February. What's the consequence of that? Can you make an investment of 5 or 10 minutes or set up like a standing meeting? That's 10 minutes, 10-minute Zoom meeting, have them create a series of invites for it. That's how you ensure somebody shows up for the meeting, by having that constant conversation about their new role and the exciting things that they're experiencing in that is the easiest way to do it.